turns to sun rays, and on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
G'day everybody, it's Seano again, and we're back with some more Supercoach content. We just went and talked for about 10 or 15 minutes, and yes, I believe that the microphone wasn't working. So now the microphone is working, so we can get on and do what we want to do. So we're doing our round 20 live chat, and not only was the Seano's microphone not working, but yesterday's Supercoach wasn't working, so we didn't do our trade time video. So make sure you check this video out, because we're going to go through the trades, which we just started then. We just talked about it for about 10 minutes. But we're going to go through the trades, and we will go through the potential vice captain and captain choices for this week. There will be no trade time video. We thought we'd just do it all here, and we'd have a bit of a live chat with the people out there. Yeah, once again, we just went on, did this for about 15 minutes. If you're already watching, and you're watching me in complete silence, maybe you think that's a good thing, silence from Seano, but yeah, I'm sorry about that, and we will delete that video from YouTube, so we'll only get to see this one for anyone watching in the future. And if you are watching in the future, yeah, feel sorry for Seano, give me a subscribe, like the video, tell me what an idiot I was for just talking on silent for like 15 minutes, and and yeah, and so let's move on. Team this week, we scored 2,542, very good score, probably our top score of the season so far. We moved for the round. It was the score of 5,005. Sorry, the rank for the round is 5,560, which is not bad. Out of I beat 190 other thousand people, which is pretty good, and we moved up 1,686 places, which is excellent. A lot of people are poo-pooing their ranks when you know, some other content creators who are quite higher up than myself, but I'm pretty happy with this. Hasn't been the best season, hasn't been the worst season, so you know, we're still in the top 3% out of 195,000 people, so that's not bad. Not bad at all, so pretty happy with that. Now let's go quickly through and talk about what we were talking about. We just did a quick talk about the rookies when I was talking to no one, and the ones I said I liked, Max Heath playing there as a dual ruck forward at with Rowan Marshall at St Kilda, and then we've got Rhett Bazzo, who's playing in the back line in the Eagles, and Taj Houghton I think is a bit too expensive for someone who's only getting 50s, and the other one who's Ben Jepson, who I think there's not a lot of options out there this week. If you know of any other ones, please let me know in chat or leave a comment down below, and but hopefully we'll have some other people come here and chat soon, have a chat with us, and we'll be able to talk about what's who they think is the best. So they're the downgrades. As for upgrades, if you're looking for replacements, so the two people I said that you might be Supercoach relevant, who you might need to replace this week. One is Tom Stewart. Been a bit of a roller coaster ride with Tom Stewart. When you've had him in the team, he seems to have done okay, but he's been injured a lot. He's been laid out, so I'm pretty sure most of his owners are pulling their hair out. And if they got him back in, he's given them a couple of good weeks, and now he is injured again. So going to need a replacement for him. And if you're like me, Sam Doherty is announced his retirement. He will be playing this week though. So, but for next week, if you're like me, you might need someone to replace him. Otherwise, I don't think there's too many Supercoach relevant injuries out there, not unless you're still recovering from the mayhem that we had last week with Jason Hall-Francis and with Took Miller. If you only had 2 trades but you had 3 or 4 of those guys like Nick Martin, hopefully Connor Rosie comes back for you guys who have him. So maybe you still are looking to make trades this week. So I think, again, get who you can afford, who you think the best of the best is, who you can afford, and who's going to be the best. We're coming to the end of the season, so who you think is going to be the best to the end of the season. So maybe for primos, it's obvious. You're looking at the Bonts, the Dacoses, the Butters, the Ed Richards. It's kind of easy to tell, but maybe you need a value option. Maybe you're like me. I don't have much money in the bank, and I need somebody to cover Doherty, which I'm probably going to wait till next week to do. But I think what else? What other filters have we got on here? None. Oh yeah, we're going to go to summaries. So maybe you need a value option. So let's say someone under 500k. So value options like replacements for Stewart, say in the back line, or a Doherty in the midfield. Jack Sinclair, it's a very good price. With the potential new role of Nasai Wanganeen-Malera playing in the midfield, if he does that a little bit more, it could free up Jack Sinclair to get a bit more ball there in the back. And so he's had a couple of good rounds. Bailey Dahl is very cheap. Sheasel, I still don't love Sheasel's role. I probably wouldn't go there, but I totally understand if you do. Whitfield is also very cheap, so if you don't have any of those 3 guys, they're the guys that I'd probably be getting to replace Tom Stewart. They're kind of highly owned, but they're highly owned because they're very good. So, they're the ones I'd be thinking of at the back line. Now, in the midfield, this is something that I have to consider for Doherty, and I'm going to tell you after we've gone through who these ones are, what I am considering. Well, we might as well do it at the same time. Let's say that Seano is, I need to get the midfielder this week. I'm going to wait. I'm going to give Doherty his game. He's had a great career. I'm not too sure if you heard this when I think the microphone was off, but congratulations to him on an awesome career. He used to be the number 1 picked Supercoach guy in the defensive line every year, and he's been a mainstay there, and I hope all the best to him after football, and I hope everything goes well for him. So I think Sarah, even though I'd like to stay away from Carlton players at this cheaper option, if you've got if you've got more money, get someone better. But if you've got less than 500, I think this week, if I was to do the trade, I'd have 477. So Sarah, I'd stay away from De Koning. Matthew Kennedy, I can also afford him. So Sarah and Matthew Kennedy are both ones that I can afford. And Patrick Cripps. So, out of all of those, Matthew Kennedy, I think, has the best run. But, and he's got the mid-forward DPP status. He doesn't exactly have a huge ceiling. This 124 is one of his highest scores, 115, 130, 125. So 125 before this last week was his best score. And you can see, I take this 23. I think this is just an anomaly. We're not going to worry about it. But I think you can probably expect anywhere from about 85 to about 115 from him, which is not bad for someone with that DPP status. And I think if it was earlier, Sarah had this really good run. Sarah, should we give ourselves an English? First one of the day.
Me fail English?
That's impossible. Thank you, Ralph Wiggum. So Sarah, he went through this really good patch from rounds 10 to 14. where he had 142, 122, 109, 102. But then Carlton have been pretty average since then, and he hasn't hit the 100 once. So, I mean, he's showing he can do it, but I'd just probably stay away from him. And Cripsy, Cripsy got 113 last week. We know he can go big, but he hasn't really done that this year. He's got 120, 2 120s, and that's his highest. He hasn't hit the 150s or the 160s like he does sometimes this year. And for me, I'd like to know that whoever I pick can do that. But at this price, I think both Sarah, Cripps, and Kennedy all can do that, but they just haven't this year. And there's one more that I'm kind of looking at, and there's actually two more. Now, this is the one that if I was going to go this week, just to be a little bit different, this is the one I might go. He doesn't have the best run coming in. It's LDU. We know what he can do. We know he's the number one. We know he's got the role. We know he's probably the number one inside mid there at North Melbourne. Probably doesn't help him that Cherry is out. But if you look at it, besides this 21 where he was concussed, I believe, since round 8, the lowest he's got is an 82, 101, 97, 117, 85, 82, 102, 108, 108, 117. So all hundreds since round 14. He gets a lot of contested possessions, and he gets a lot of normal just possessions in general. So I was going to go there hoping that I could pick up a player for about 450 that could get 100, about 100 every week. And he's one that I could afford this week. Now, there is one that I can't afford this week, but maybe if you've got a little bit. Hey, Matthew, how you going, buddy? Nice to see you, mate. Number one, first chatter here, as usual. Welcome, buddy. Welcome. I don't know if you were here to see the disaster of me streaming for 15 minutes, talking into a microphone that wasn't working, but it's working now. So welcome, mate. And so just before we get on to have a bit more of a chat, the one other person who I am looking at, not this week because I can't afford him this week, but he's got a big break even, so it might come down. This man here. Mr. Will Day. He's just out of my price rise this week, out of my price range this week, but he's got a break even 112. So he potentially, if he gets less than that, he could come down a little bit. And Doherty has a break even of 90. So if Doherty could manage to get himself 110, 120, maybe I'm about 5k off, I think. Maybe I could make up that 5k and get him in one trade. And out of all the options, I feel like he's got the potential to have these big peak scores. I mean, we haven't seen him. It'd be good to have a look at him this round and make sure he's still got the role at Hawthorn, and then he's not on reduced time on ground or anything like that. But we saw how good he was last year, and he did get a couple of 70s at the beginning of this year. I believe he was tagged for these games, but he can go big. So he might be, him or LDU are the ones that I'm looking at. But I think any of those choices, if you're looking for the cheapos, they're all risky. I don't think any of them can be depended on to get you big scores. But I think if you're looking for that, are they going to get you around 100 to replace a Doherty or like a midfielder? Then that's maybe where you can go. So that's definitely what I'm looking at. If I went this week, I'd go to LDU. This is just me, my personal preference. If I'm go next week, I could potentially get Will Day. And the other thing with holding on to Doherty this week is that LDU has a high break even, so I might get him a bit cheaper next year. Sherry to Brayshaw for you, Matt. Last week, you only trade. The trade. So you're going to be in this exact same situation I'm talking about, Matt. So thank you for dropping in and having a chat. Always enjoy chatting to you, mate. Understand if you can't be here long. I do understand it is a morning and most normal humans have to work at this time. Sean, a slightly abnormal human, I have to work later on. So Will Day or Matt Kennedy. So I think a lot of people are going to go Matt Kennedy, Matthew. and I think that's a very fair price, especially if you like the DPP swing to help you out. I think Will Day potentially, have a look at him. Like I said, I want to have a look at him this week. If he looks like he's 100%, he's in the guts, he plays a full game, if I can afford him, I'll probably go there. 500 overall, it's an even number, not the even number that you want, hey buddy, but yeah, so you're in the exact same position that I'll be next week, except I'm forced to make a trade. At least you're not forced to do McCarthy, but I think both Will Day or Matt Kennedy can get you those higher scores, and they'll probably be a little bit more consistent than McCarthy in your run home, which is, I mean, and even for me, I think for me, whoever I pick should be hopefully a bit more consistent than Doherty has been for me as well. So so they're your two choices. I'm honestly, I think I'm going to stay away from Matt Kennedy, because I think a lot of people are going to go there, and I want to be a little bit different. So I think I'm going to go LDU over Kennedy, even though I do like the DPP. That might come back to bite me on the backside, especially because Kennedy's run is a lot better coming home. Lots of games at Marvel. Obviously, he's got a good midfield around him. So, you know, it could come back to really hurt me. But if I can't afford Will Day next week, I'm pretty sold on LDU, just to be a little bit different from other people. Day, I think as long as Day looks good this week, I reckon he's better pick than both of them. I think he has a higher ceiling. Day, we've seen him, like, we go back and have another look. Let's look at last year for Day, and let's have a look at what kind of, you know, if he gets back to his super good form. Season 124. Did he not play in? Archer Day Wicks. I was going to say. I'm sure he played last year. I'm looking at the wrong dude. Will Day. Here we go. I think he's got a better history than all of those others of being able to go big. And that's what I want. I want someone with a massive ceiling that's not necessarily going to go big, but can, like, you know, let's look. Like last year, he went on a round 10 to round, you know, 20, his lowest score was a 92, and included a 136, a 137, a 142. So really big. Two horrible tags coming up. Yeah. Maybe he gets those tags. Maybe that's maybe I should be worried a little bit more about that. I think I'm just gonna risk it. I mean, do you really need to tag someone from North Melbourne? Can you not just beat North Melbourne without tagging? But let's just look at Caleb Daniel, because even though it's not LDU, who the tags are you talking about? The Sydney one in the last game seems pretty rough. And you reckon Finn? Oh no. So Geelong, St Kilda, you think he might get the Windhager tag? Windhager hasn't been tagging, and Togi Bedford hasn't been tagging a lot. So maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I might just go for, you know, maybe they don't, and hope that. Did Supercoach just take a gigantic drop dead? Ooh. Alright, Supercoach died. Let's try and bring Supercoach back. Bring Supercoach back, they say. Bring Sexy back. But maybe not. Maybe Supercoach is just having an issue here, my friends. It's not loading at all. Alright. We'll stick on this screen for a little bit, and hopefully... Oh, page unresponsive. Well. Oh, that'd be right. You know, first I talked into the microphone for 15 minutes and the microphone's not even on, and now Supercoach won't even load up. That would be absolutely my luck. And with yesterday, Supercoach didn't work at all. That's why we didn't do a trade video yesterday, because Supercoach didn't work. I think Tyler Young Is he the rookie for 150k, or is that the other one? Hey, Deadly's Real Daddy, how you going? Really appreciate you chatting. I'd love to get Supercoach up and have a look at him, but I can't. What about the other fantasy? Is anyone else having trouble getting Supercoach up? Or is it just me? I think the same, and I think it's a point of difference, Matthew, because he's going to be very low owned, and I think the pack's going to go with Matthew Kennedy. But if I can get Day, I'll probably go Day. Let's be honest, if I can get Day, I'll probably go Day. I'm having some rather issues here. Oh, okay, let's try a different browser. A different browser works for me. We're going to have to go back to the old white screen. I hope that's not too white for you. I hope that's not too white and bright. But, yeah, Supercoach just pretty much died on Google. Google doesn't like it. So, till it decides to try and sort itself out, crew, we'll go here. So let's have a look for you, Deadlies. Or I don't want to call you my daddy, Tyler. Tyler Young, 110 and 97. Wow, that's pretty good, right? Being off his curfew. So did Noah Bolter play these games? He must have played at least one of these games, right? Did he play? Did he play this game? He didn't play that game. Oh, I think it's actually just maybe the stream or something that's going it. I mean, it seems good. The thing is, are you doing it as a downgrade to move up to somebody else? Do you just need a cheap? If you just needed a cheapie, you know, if you just needed a cheapie, no, we'll go back to Richmond. Bolter. Naughty Bolter. Naughty has to ride his bike to work, Bolter. So yeah, didn't play. Played in the VFL? What? That's what that usually means, right? I mean, if Bolter wasn't named Deadlies, I think it could be a really good pick. If Bolter is named, was he a direct swap out as well? Can we have a look at that as well? Let's look at the teams. Let's look at the teams from a few weeks ago. Team lineups from, say, round 17. Richmond. Oh, he's played 18 and 19, so it'd have to be round 18. Richmond, Noah Bolter for personal reasons. They ain't very personal. Tyler Young came in, and did he replace? Because that's what Campbell Gray did, and we kind of got screwed with Campbell Gray. Tyler, he is named in that position, Deadly. So I would be a little bit worried, mate. I'd want to see Noah Bolter and him named both in the same team, and I would like to see him named on the ground. But even if he's named on the bench, I would think then you might be able to be a little bit more confident that it could be a decent pick. But it does look like exactly what happened with Campbell Gray, where he came in and then we were all like, he played really well. Maybe he'll get, maybe he'll do okay. Maybe he'll get, a good run at things, and it just didn't happen. So I'd be a little bit worried. I mean, he looks really good, and with Noah Bolter being a naughty boy, maybe they should leave him out, but I'd definitely be watching the team sheets, and I definitely want to see them both in the team at the same time. Yeah, I think it's one that looks really good, but could come back to bite you on the backside, especially if you don't have many trades up your sleeve. So as we talked about, so this is my team, and then this week we'll play Doherty. And because all we can afford this week, if I go to players I can afford, it's basically Sarah. These are the players I consider: Sarah, Kennedy, Cribs, maybe LDU, even Miles Bergman I might consider, but no one else I'm really considering. And out of all of those, Kennedy and LDU are the ones that I really like. But looking at, I'm hoping I'm only a few thousand off, so I can afford 477. How much up do I need to get to Will Day? Day is 483, so I need about 6k, which means either Doherty has to score, Will Day has to not hit his break even, which is 112, by about, he has to get 100 or less, and Doherty has to meet his break even, or Doherty has to get me like 110. Then I can afford Will Day, owned by 3.8% of the competition. And then what about me mate LDU? LDU is owned by 3% of the competition, where I think Matthew Kennedy is going to be a lot higher than that, right? Especially after this week. You got 2,000 people trading him in this week, and he's going to be owned by around 11% of teams. So still not a super high amount, but a reasonably high amount. Yeah, I'm just... If Noah Bolter is named and Tyler Young is both named, I could endorse the Grundy pick, but if he's not, then I think it's just a matter. If he's named in the team, it might be worth a swing, especially if you've got a bit of cover. McCarthy's 23rd, so you do have some cover. Young would be 24th. If Young's your 24th, then I'm all for it. If Young is your 24th and he's named this week, I'm all for that. You're not playing. I thought you were like literally having him on the field for Stewart, and he'd be one of your players on the field. So if that's not the case, then I think that's fine. I think Grundy's run home is so good, and considering you're not moving out another ruck, I assume you probably already you must have 2 other rucks already, so you're going to be sticking like Grundy in your flex or a ruck in your flex, which Grundy's run is awesome. I have to admit, because I've only got 2 trades left, once I've done this trade, I won't be able to get Grundy, but I might do a sneaky English back to Sherry if I still have that trade left when he comes back around 22. That could be my last trade. But one of the reasons I'm not trading Doherty this week is, one, I'm going to see if I can get to Will Day next week. And the other one is I'm going to see if just what happens, if there's a disaster somewhere else. There might be we've seen so many disasters this year, there might be a worse disaster somewhere else. You got Gawn and Sherry already, so you're holding Sherry until he comes back and getting Grundy and using, your coverage. I think that's fine. I think that, I think that's going to put you, those last couple of games, you're going to be in a big advantage in your leagues, and against the, you could really gain some points deadly. I don't know how your team, how high you're up in ranking, how you're going in ranking, and what are you playing for? Are you playing for ranking or for leagues? So another reason I'm not trading this week is I'm really playing for leagues at the moment. And last week with my very lucky win, I cemented myself a position in the top 8. I cannot be knocked out of the top 8. So I can be knocked down and I can go up into the top 4 with a bit of luck. But I can't be knocked out of the top 8. So there's no real reason for me to trade Doherty this week until I have a look at next week. And even if I can't get up to Will Day, I'll still be able to afford Kennedy and LDU and those other ones, Cribs and Sarah and those guys. So for me, it's hold the 2 trades, have a look at what I need to do in the first week of my Supercoach finals. But if you're going for overall score, I mean, even if for your Supercoach, if you can do that and leave yourself a trade or 2 for the finals of your Supercoach leagues, I mean, your team's going to be pretty deadly once Sherry comes back. All you need to do is make it through those that first 2 weeks of finals. No, the first week of finals, week 21. And if you can make it through that first week, you'll get Sherry back. If you happen to be in the top 4, you get a week off. Then you got Cherry, Gawn and Grundy, and I assume that team is going to be very hard to beat. You're going to have a lot of captain and vice captain options. Oh, speaking of which, we haven't talked about that yet, and since we didn't do a trade time video, we didn't have a chance to talk about that. So let's have a quick chat about captain and vice captain options. Then go for it. If you're playing in a cash league, in 4th spot, if you win, you finish 3rd. Lose this week, you're going to finish 5th. And do they pay out like 1st, 2nd, and 3rd? Is this the last week, or I think if you've still got a few weeks to go in that league, having I mean, obviously, if your league finishes in the last week of the season, that Cherry and Gawn's probably going to really pay out for you. Especially, is it are you going by overall score, or are you going by whoever wins the head-to-heads? Because having all that money for Sherry sitting on your bench, if you get knocked out the first week, is probably not going to do you much good, if you know what I mean. If you need to win the money, maybe trading Sherry is an option. But if you're in a pretty good position, like you say, you're in 4th spot, if you think you can win this week and the next week, and then have Sherry back and go for first place, I think that seems a viable option. But definitely that makes a bit of a difference going for you. If you're in a cash league, that combination of the big 3 is something that probably not a lot of people are going to have. The question is, are you going to blow out your rank by having that 550k on the bench for the next couple of weeks in the way of Sherry? I mean, you've already kept him 1 week, but getting Grundy in with a decent captain score could really help you though. But you definitely want to keep an eye on that young kid to see if he's named with Bolter, and being Bolter being in the team will affect his score. But if he's your 23rd, you'll have to make a decision if you're going to play McCarthy or Young this week, I guess, while you're waiting for Sherry to come back. still, I would like to be in the same position as you. That would be really good. So, crew, let me know, guys out there, if you're watching, who are your captain and vice captain picks? This is nice, where I get to ask you guys, who do you think are the best vice captain and captain picks this week? Me personally, for my team, I'm locking in the Bont versus the decimated Essendon team, and Dacos versus Richmond. I think both of those are very viable options. I think there are a lot of choices, though, you can have this week. I think there are a lot of options. Like, if we have a quick look for, if you don't have those players, Hawthorn and Carlton, I don't think I'd be picking anyone out of either of those teams. Essendon and Western Bulldogs, I think if you don't have Bont, you could always try Ed Richards. Even Libba might be a sneaky vice-captain option. GWS versus Sydney. There could be some tagging going on in this game. You know, you could try, I wouldn't be putting a captain on, but you could try a vice captain for like a Tom Green or a Heaney or even a Grundy. You know, Grundy versus Briggs. If you've got Grundy, might be the way to go. Yeah, Grundy. I think Deadly, if you bring in Grundy, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be, you're gonna. Vice, yeah. Gone against Marshall and Max Heath. I mean, he did score 100 points in a half, but he wasn't 20 points at half time. He's got a very good record against St Kilda, 180 points in 2004. That'd be nice. So I think that's a viable option. I do think that's a viable option. I think he is a good captain, fullback captain pick. Gold Coast and Brisbane, I think a vice captain on either maybe a Rao or a Dunkley could be a decent pick. First, yeah, the Marshall has had, he is giving up a lot of points. They are doing a dual ruck at the moment, but I don't think you need to worry much about Max Heath. I don't think he won't even bother Gorn will squat him like a fly. So I think it's a good pick, and I think it might be one that it's not going to be the conventional pick either. So I think if it's probably, you know, it might be a little bit different to your opponent in your cash league, Deadly. So I think it's a pretty good pick. I think, I think that's not too bad. I also think English for me versus the Essendon, whatever Essendon rookie they roll out, is a decent vice captain choice. Freo versus West Coast. Most of you guys probably in the East States don't read the West Australian over here in Perth. Eagles have said they are seriously considering putting some time into Sarong, because he's absolutely killed us in the last few derbies over here, as we call them, where Freo and West Coast play each other. Having all the boys over at my house to watch the footy, and so since I'm an Eagles supporter, it could be a bit of a painful watch. But we're going to have a bit of a barbecue or some pizza or something and watch the footy, which should be fun. And so if you were going, I'd be a little bit worried about Sarong, even though it sounds like almost a really easy pick for a vice captain or a captain choice, just because they said they've got to put a little bit of work. They might put some work into him. Maybe go Brayshaw if you've got them both. So, I'm thinking, there's so many good picks. Then North versus Geelong, Holmes. I probably wouldn't go Smith. He hasn't been in the same form, but I think Holmes could be a pick in that pick. Adelaide versus Port Adelaide. I don't think any reason why you can't pick Zach Butters in a game, in a really tight, tough game where they want to win against their crosstown. He's gone 117, 156, 124. So, there's so many. I think there's a lot of good choices this week, and it could be the difference between pinging a good one and not. So I think mine is pretty cookie cutter. I've seen a few other content creators say that they like Bont into Dacos. Even the last game, the St Kilda versus Melbourne, a sneaky Nasiah Wanganeen Malera could be a way to go against Melbourne. Even a Sinclair against Melbourne could be options. There's a lot of good options this week, and I think it's going to be a thing of, do you want to go with the pack? I mean, I'm kind of think I'm going with the pack. I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, most people with both of these players are going them. But yeah, I think there are some really good options. Like Deadly, like you suggest, like a Gawn, I think is a very good option. I mean, like I said, I even think Tim English as a vice captain is a good option. I think Wangani Malera as a sneaky captain, you know, a vice captain into him is a good option. There's so many good options this week. The only ones I'd probably stay away from is the GWS Sydney game. Just except for Grundy. Grundy is a great option there, but just with the GWS boys like Tom Green, he's a good chance to cop a tag. And Whitfield is also a good chance to cop a tag. I won't be surprised if Jordan goes to Whitfield. That's his usual tags, one of the best back line, him or Ash. And that's usually Whitfield. So I wouldn't be surprised if Whitfield gets tagged this week. And then if they run a double tag like one of that legend by the name of Dean Cox, could be the best ruckman ever, runs a double tag, you know, they could tag a Tom Green or something as well. Heaney, can Heaney back it up 2 weeks in a row? Maybe. But yeah, I think there are some very valid options there, and good luck with your pick, Deadlies. I think it's a good, I don't think a lot of people are going to pick Gawn, and I think it's a good pick. Oh, bugger. There we go. Have you decided to work yet? Well, Supercoach is not going to work on Google Chrome, and I think it's mainly because it's Google Chrome, not Supercoach. Can they tag him? They might tag him. You're right, they might tag him, but he is playing. He just showed last week he can play everything, right? If he plays in the midfield and they tag him, he might go back, he might go forward. I don't know if they can tag him. They can try, but he seems to be able to play every position on the ground. If he goes forward, he'll probably kick a couple of goals. If he goes in the midfield, he's going to get a million possessions. If he goes in the back line, he's going to get a million possessions. If they're in the midfield, they're going to be contested. So I don't know if they've got anyone who can go with him, but I'm with you though, it could happen. I mean, they could try a, Langford, or maybe even a Clayton Oliver to run with him if he's in the midfield. But I got a feeling if they do that, they're just going to move him somewhere else. I still think he's a nice sneaky pick. But there's obviously, I think he's not the safest. Deadlies, you're right. If you want to go safe, you stick with what I'm doing or with what you're doing. I think Gawn is pretty safe. I think Dacos is pretty safe. I think Bont is pretty safe. I think Butters is pretty safe. You know, I even think Matt Rao is a cheeky option, vice captain versus Brisbane. Just because it's Brisbane, maybe I'd stay away from it. But you know, if I had to bet the house on the one getting me like not. You know, anything can happen in Supercoach. We've seen it. But if I had to bet the house, it'd be on Bont, Dacos, Butters, and Gawn, and Grundy. They're the four that I'd be really confident with falling back on if I had a shit vice captain score. What else do you want to chat about, crew? Who are most other people getting in? A lot of people getting in Matthew Kennedy. This is why I think I might avoid him, just because I want to go against the pack. And coming in the end of my leagues, I think having someone a little bit different might be good. A lot of people getting in Luke Jackson. I can't afford him, but he's down a little bit since Darcy's back in the team, but he's against the Eagles this week. I heard people talking about him as a vice captain option. I don't think he's a vice captain option with Darcy in the team. Yes, he might tear the Eagles a new one. I mean, we've got nobody. If he plays as a midfielder, we've got nobody that can go with him in the midfield. So he's probably going to get a big score, but I wouldn't be risking him as a vice captain option. But he could tear Eagles a new one. He got 165 as the solo ruck in round 3 against us. But if he was the solo ruck, he'd be guaranteed he'd be one of my top picks. But as non-solo ruck, I don't think I would be risking it. What about Tyler Young? A lot of people are thinking the same thing you are, Deadlies. You know, a lot of people are thinking that he might be getting. Again, keep an eye on the team sheets. You know, is Noah Bolter named? Is he put straight back on the field and plays? You don't want the Campbell Gray situation to happen. That would be a problem. And as we discussed, maybe Ben Jepson, you know, if you need a 99k rookie and you need the most money, that's probably the way to go. He could, you know, I have no idea about his job security. Anybody else out there know what his job security is like? Played a couple of games in a row though, so, you know, it's not too bad. Everyone's getting rid of, yeah. So I could go down, I could do that. Like I could get rid of Campbell Gray for my team. Get like the Ben Jeppy man, the Jep man. So we got Jepson. And then I could pretty much afford, I could get rid of Doherty. I think Jepson's only played one game, right? One game or two games? One game, that's good. So then I can do this next week. Then I could potentially get someone more expensive. Or even if I went down from Zach Johnson, you know, in the midfield, I could get someone, you know, a little bit more expensive. But, you know, at this price range, who could I afford? I could get, I just can't afford Max Holmes. So close. I could get Caleb Sarong. Could get Lockie Neal if we wanted to go there. Could get Zach Merritt. Are those players going to perform better than the Kennedys or the LDUs? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. Something for me to have a better consider of next week. This is true, Deadlies. This is true. I know everyone's talking about how Essendon is decimated. Well, I also think people forget back, no team has ever been decimated like the Eagles were back in 2000 where the COVID was. They think Essendon were bringing out players that, you know, using their whole list. We were literally getting players out of the bloody waffle who weren't even on the list to play for us back then. That's how bad things were back then, and it hasn't improved very much. Yeah, we do have our best players out. Waterman, yeah, I really hope we don't lose Allen because our forward line isn't bad. The problem with the Eagles is not the forward line. The combination of a Waterman, Allen, a Cribbs, if he's still going to play on, Liam Ryan, you know, it's still a pretty good forward line. The problem with the Eagles is we don't have any fucking midfielders to get it to the forward line, you know. And now that we've lost both McGovern and Shannon Hearn, two of potentially the best defenders in the league in the last 2 years, is obviously really going to hurt. You can't replace people. I mean, McGovern could be the best intercept marker to ever play the game. So you're not going to replace him maybe ever. And Shannon Hearn has one of the biggest, you know, a really tough player that has one of the biggest monster kicks that you've ever seen. You know, kicks it from the back line and it lands halfway, you know, at the centre square. So you're not going to replace those guys and their experience anytime soon. So a lot of people say that they've seen improvement in the Eagles this year. As an Eagles supporter who's watched almost every game, this is not true. You know, I don't care what they say. There has been no improvement in the Eagles this year. I saw a stat the other day saying that this is the lowest percentage points ever in 60 years. In 60 years of the AFL, we're going to score the lowest percentage points. So you can't tell me that that's better than last year, where at least we won more games. We got quite a few 100-point losses, but we looked competitive. You know, when we played a Richmond or a North Melbourne or an Essendon, other teams that were down the bottom of the league, we actually looked like we could win. And this year, even when we played Richmond, I was like, there's no way we're winning. And we know Richmond aren't a great team. And I was like, there's no way West Coast are winning. So, yeah, we are missing those. Like, Yo back in the midfield would be really nice. That would help a lot. Kelly has just not been the man that we paid for. You know, he hasn't had much help in the midfield, let's be honest, for him. But he's not been the man who played at Geelong when he was surrounded by all those superstars and he was a goal-kicking midfielder that looked awesome. He just doesn't look the same at the Eagles. Yeah, and so, I mean, we are playing a lot of kids, but, yeah, I don't want to talk about the Eagles too much because no one wants to hear a supporter whinge about their team a lot. And by the way, just before we go, if anyone would like to pay $20 million for Harley Reid for fucking 10 years or whatever, you can have him. Take him. Please take him. And take his most free kicks against out of anybody else in the league. Hawthorn, you want Harley Reid? Give us a couple of... Have him, he's probably going to wait to next year, but if you want to give us a couple of first-round picks for him, you can have him. I'll put him on the chopping block right now. You can have him. I'd like to see the stats of how many goals are scored against the Eagles from turnovers. And if he gives the most free kicks out of any player in the league, that's not something we need in our team. It's, how many goals is a year against are going to be up, purely because Harley Reid, gives away so many free kicks. How many goals is that going to cost you? How many matches are you going to lose by 1 or 2 goals? Because the other team goes down the other end and bangs a goal through after he gives away a free kick, and when he does give a free kick, he has a little hissy fit, which I believe he didn't do last year. I think last year in his first year, he played a lot. He went a lot harder at the ball. He didn't whinge as much. I think this year it's gone to his head a little bit. I mean, last year was like, I'm going to behave, it's my first year. Now I kind of think that he's like, he could be a superstar, but do you really want a superstar that gives away the most free kicks in the entire league at your team? And if you're prepared, I'm really hoping that we don't sign him up for 10 years or whatever for $20 million or whatever, because it will hurt the team. I'd prefer to get a couple of first round draft picks for him, give him to Hawthorn or whatever, and get some humble kid who's going to be just a workhorse. Oscar Allen, yeah. So I think that's a bigger loss honestly. Oscar Allen, you watch Oscar Allen be one of the best. If he goes to a Brisbane or someone with a good midfield, he'll be one of the best forwards in the league next year. If he can stay not injured, when he's not injured, he is one of the best key forwards in the league. And he just can't get the delivery at the Eagles, and it's a real shame that he got treated like really badly. I think the new coach Minnie treated him really badly, and swapped him around, put him in the back line or whatever. And of course, I don't blame him for going and talking to the other teams. I mean, why wouldn't you? I think if he wasn't treated so badly, he might have actually potentially stayed, but he's probably definitely gone. But yeah, so Harley Reid came out and said, typical Harley Reid thing, that he doesn't want to play for anyone not in contention over there in Victoria. I expect nothing less from Harley Reid. Like, yeah, I only want to play for a contender. Well, tough shit. If you want to go, if you want your $20 million a year, you might have to, or for over 10 years, you might have to play for a North Melbourne or a Richmond or an Essendon or someone who can afford you. So, but yeah, I would 100% Harley Reid for pick. Doesn't even need to be pick 3 and 4. Pick 3 and anything in the top 5 and one more, say under top 12, or in that first round. I would take pick 3 and 8, pick 2 and 5, pick whatever. If we could get picks 1 and 2, if we get pick 2 and then someone else, can't see him going there. Yeah, even though the media keeps saying that Sam Mitchell has a hard-on for him. You can tell because Hawthorn don't really have too many superstars in their team. They have a nice balanced team of very good players. They don't have any one superstar, and so I wouldn't be surprised. And teams like Hawthorn, I'd be surprised if they could afford him anyway. So maybe they can. I'm sure Geelong could, do some dodgy deal where they could afford him. Geelong are the kings of doing dodgy deals. I'm sure they can get some dodgy deal done where they can afford him. Anyway, I think that's enough of me crapping on about Harley Reid. But I have some friends, some of my Eagles friends like to defend him, but I'm over it now. I just want to see him gone. If he's going, get rid of him. And honestly, I think it makes our team better without him. If we can get 2 good players to replace one really good player, even though I still don't know if he's, if you're buying him, if you're a North Melbourne or a fan, I don't know, you guys, who do you support? Do you want him at your team? Deadlies, who do you support? I think Matthew, might be in Essendon. No, it's Paris, that's an Essendon boy. Let me ask you that, if you're watching. Do you want Harley Reid at your team for $2 million a year over 10 years? I'm giving him away. You can have him. Anyways, what else we got to talk about here today, crew? Well, how long have we been going? We've been going an hour or so. I don't know if we're going to make it a super long one today. We did the vice captains. We did the trades. Again, if you're still watching at the moment, don't forget to give me that subscribe. Or if you're watching in the future, subscribe and like the video and leave a comment. If you're watching me at work or whatever and you can't comment, thanks for watching. Matthew said he couldn't stay long, so he's probably taken off. And Deadlies, I really appreciate you being here, buddy. Do you want to tell me what your team name is, Deadly, and we can have a look at it? Bring it up on screen and have a bit of a look. Yeah, who can kick and who don't give away free kicks. You don't give away free kicks. I think Carlton, you'll be okay. You've got a bit like the Eagles had. Your forward line is awesome. When it's up and going, you've got an awesome forward line. And your midfield's not bad either. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Sarah. Cribbs, when he's playing well, is really good, So I think you're probably struggling with injuries a little bit in your back line. Probably your back is maybe you need a couple of more young midfielders to help out, Cripsy and Sarah, and maybe a bit of a back line, a bit of help in the back line, or some injuries to clear up in the back line for you. But I mean, TDK as a solo ruck seemed okay, but you think he's gone. You don't mind getting rid of him. The problem is, this is a problem with the Eagles, all right? You need a good ruck these days. You need a good ruck, and we don't have a good ruck. You either need a really good ruck or a really good midfield, and we don't have either. What am I doing with Doc? Hey, Josh, so we had a bit of a chat about this, so I'm going to keep him for this week. He's going to get a last game send-off in my team for being an absolute Supercoach legend. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets me a 60. I'm hoping that he's going to have a blinder in his last game and everyone at Carlton. Deadly, if you would like to go down to practice and tell all your mates down there at Carlton to look for Doherty, it's his last game. Let's get him 40 possessions. Let's get him involved in everything. Let's give him all the kick-outs. That would be really helpful for me. So I'm keeping him this week, and next week there's 3 players that I'm looking at, and one I can't afford, which is Will Day. I'm about 6,000, we said 6,000 short of him. So if Doherty can score over his 90 or Will Day scores less than his 110 break evens, I might be able to afford him. No, I'm not putting the VC on him. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he just takes it easy and gets a 60. They're playing him on the wing too. If they guaranteed me they were going to play him in the back line and give him the kick-outs and stuff, I probably wouldn't seriously consider it, but I'd consider it. But I need to win my leagues this week, so I can't be doing any crazy stuff. There's all the chance that he plays on the wing and he gets a 60. So they're trying to blood those back guys at Carlton. And even though they said they weren't going to play Doherty I think this might be half the reason he retired. They said, we're not going to play you on the wing anymore. We're going to play you in the back line where you're really good and where you're really suited. And they did it for a couple of weeks and then they put him back on the fucking wing. And the next week he says, I'm going to retire. Big surprise. You know, he made it, as far as he's made it sound in the media, is that him and Voss agreed that if he was going to play in the ones in the AFL team, that he was going to play in the back line, which is his best position. And they did it for a couple of weeks, and he was pretty good. Let's face it, he wasn't bad there. And then they moved him to the wing, and he's like, fuck this, I don't like the wing, I'm going to retire, screw it. And so, yeah, so I am thinking, and back to that, so the people who I can afford this week, if I did it this week, was Matt Kennedy, Sarah, go Carlton, go Sarah, I could go Cribs, or I could go LDU. And my personal choice out of all of those guys, be a little bit different, is LDU. He's got a shit run, and he might get tagged, but everyone's going to go Matt Kennedy, I think. Everyone who's looking for the cheapie around that price is going to go Matt Kennedy. I mean, he has that DPP, and he could be very useful, and I'll probably kick myself with he's got a pretty good run, a lot of games at Marvel, but LDU can go big. He hasn't done it this year, but he can go big. He's got the role to go big. You know, he gets a lot of contested possessions. Maybe he just goes and does it. Thoughts on what you should do? Why have you got him as well? How much money you got? Have you got your team? You want me to bring your team up on the what's your team name? You want me to bring it up on the screen? We can have a look. And how much money do you have? Because that's my problem. I only got about 470k, so that's the best I can do is one of those. Like, I think Kennedy or LDU are probably my best choices, and they both have a pretty. I mean, even another reason I like LDU over Kennedy, his role is set. He's the number one midfielder at North, and even though that means he might get a tag or whatever, he's in there. Yeah, Rio Blue. That's right, buddy. I remember now. Leagues rivalry. Did I forget to do you? Not Rio Flaggers. So oh, is Rio Flaggers? Okay. Yeah, cool. Try to confuse me then for a second. So how much money did that give you? Where's the calculator? Bring out the calculator. Should we do the where is it? Just because we're getting the calculator out. Nerd! Always makes me laugh. Always makes me laugh. So 52,000 plus Mr. Oh, you don't have Doherty? I thought you were saying you've got Doherty. Thoughts on what you should do? All right, let's have a look at your team. Well, first, you got Rosie hopefully coming back. Captain Dawson, yeah, that was a bit rough. I thought he would actually. Dawson's shit performance let me win my league. All Dawson had to score was like a 120, and I would have lost my league match, which was pretty lucky for me that he had a down game, and I had Matt Rao that scored 160, and even after my opponent had Grundy and put the captain on. Clay Hall, he's been pretty good. I wish I had got him instead of Tom Gross. So Rosie's back. McCarthy we don't know. You hope Rosie's back this week. Media report says he's most likely back, but you know what that's like. You never trust it till you see him named. So McCarthy back on the bench. Your defence is fine. Got Rosie there in the middle. You got 50k, and you got 2 trades. The only spot that I don't like is the Shannon, who have to admit, as an Eagles supporter, I really like the look of this kid. I think if Oscar Allen goes, I think we could probably give him a really good run at being one of the key forwards at the Eagles. Yeah, I mean, it's not so weak. You're just missing one player. So at the moment, you'll have to decide. It'd be nice if you could have Clay Hall or Tom McCarthy covering here. You've got no one you could swap into the forward line, unfortunately. That'd be nice. I mean, just the fact that Shanahan is a key forward, you'd probably prefer to have him. You'd prefer to have like Rosie back on. You got no one you can get into that forward spot, do you? Unfortunately, not. I don't think. It's. I mean, your midfield looks really good, though. Your midfield looks really good. You just don't have that viability to get someone in there. Even the Jackson, you can't get Jackson in there. Honestly, buddy, with only 55k in the bank, I mean, if I'm you, I'm just sitting on it, and I'm hoping, that he goes down, and then I'm saving those. And it kind of depends on what you're going for. If you want to win your leagues, you're going to keep. If you want to win the leagues, you definitely keep the 2 trades. Yeah, you got no one at 250 who is really going to be worth bringing in at the moment. The only thing you could potentially do is maybe something next week, where next week or the week after, maybe you go down. Oh, you've already got Jepson. Oh, you've already got him. So maybe you go a Clay Hall or a McCarthy down and take the other one up, is the only thing. But I wouldn't be doing anything this week. This week, how are their break-evens? Yeah, 27, and I wouldn't be doing anything this week, buddy. I just live with it. Now you're 5th. What is your... For a random player, that's a good pickup. Now that he's playing, it's a very good pickup. I don't see... Will you... Okay, here's a question, Joshua. If you lose this week, have you looked at your game day matchup? Are you predicted to win? And if you lose, will you drop out of the 8? I'm in the exact same position. I'm in the exact same position. I don't think I can look at the leaderboards. I'm the exact same position as you in my leagues, where I'm in 5th. But even if I lose this week, I cannot drop out of the 8. So for me, that's why I'm not doing the McCarthy trade or anything this week. So I think if you're in the same position as me, you're in 5th, and no matter what happens, you can't drop out of the 8. Don't do anything this week. Just wait, and then next week, make your sneaky move with your 2 trades next week. If you want to go for it next week. Both these guys will be worth more money. Drop one down, whichever you like, or even drop a Zach Johnson down to 99k. What did that get you? 150 plus it gets you 200k to put on the top of one of these guys, and you get to pick one of those players like even a 200k on top of Shannon, and you might be able to get a Kennedy or something like that. The guy you're versing had merit. So the question is, all players you don't have, the question is, if you lose, will you drop out of the 8? That's the question you have to be asking yourself. So, I mean, it seems when you got teams like that, it seems, depending on, does he have 23 primos, and if he wins, you're going to drop out of the 8 and not make the final 8. If that's the position you're in, I would potentially do the trade this week of 99, Shannon. How much that gets you? Gets you 120, 424. Probably nothing good. Yeah. That's what I would say, Joshua. In your position, if the league, you've got 52 points at 5th with the best percentage, can you still drop out of the 8 though. If everybody finishes on 50, if you lose and 8th, 7th and 6th all finish on 52 points or go above you, can you drop out of the 8? If you can, but it's only on percentage points, but you have the best percentage, then maybe you can risk it, So I'll give you the example. If you look at my team, you might overtake 4th if you win. Yeah, so I'll give you sound like you're in a very similar position to me. So this is it. Yeah, if you win. But the question is, what happens if you lose? Because if I win, I'm the same. So there's 60, 56. So potentially, if I win and I'm playing this Chris guy, I could potentially move up to 2nd if I win. Now, because 8th position has 44 points, even if he wins and I lose, he'll only be on 48 points. So I cannot drop out of the top 8. So that means I don't have to do anything crazy this week. If I want to do crazy shit, I'll do it next week. So that'd be my advice for you. If potentially, if this guy was on 48 points as well, and if all these guys went to 52 points, and my percentage, like you said, you've got the best percentage. My percentage is quite a bit higher than these guys. So they're going to have to win a big game to go ahead of me. So I would feel pretty safe even if he was on 48 points. I'd probably be willing to risk it. They're not going to gain 3 percentage points in one match. That'd be pretty hard for them to do. But if for some reason I had a low percentage, or say this guy, these guys we were all on 52, and if I lost and they all won and I could drop out, then I'd seriously be considering using my 2 trades this week. 107%, that's really good. I don't even know if my top player, top in our league's 105%. So it sounds to me like even if you lose with that high percentage, there's not much chance that you're going to drop out of the 8. So I would be saving those 2 trades, making sure you don't have any disasters like we had last week with lots of injuries this week, which is why I'm not trading Doherty either this week. Save it. That's a little bit hard for you guys to read, isn't it? Don't do anything this week. Yeah, you do, but if you do it with no trades, the chances are you're going to lose. This is my warning. Yes, it's always nice to finish in the top 4. I also would like to finish in the top 4. But I know if you do finish in the top 4, there's still no guarantee you get that double chance, right? 2, if you have injuries which account for you having a 0 on the field, you're almost definitely going to lose. And anybody, if you have a 0 and someone has the flex, a flex and you don't, that's a big advantage they've got, that score dropping off. Honestly, the trades might be more important. That's why I would say just let it go this week. Just let it go. And if you finish in the top 4, great. If you finish in the top 8, you can still win, but take a swing at it with the trades next week. We've just missed the top 4. Yeah, I think the trades... this year's interesting. If you asked me last year, I would say the trades are more important than finishing in the top 4. I've seen people finish outside the top 4 and win very regularly. This year you got the flex though, so maybe the flex does mean you can really take a swing for that top 4. For me, my personal opinion is that if I make that top 4, awesome. If I don't and I finish in the top 8, I'm going to bank on the fact that I've still got 2 trades, and some of those people in the top 4, they might have no trades. And if there's injuries, they're going to get punished. And if there's not injuries, I can swing for the fences. So even next week, I could go down and get Doherty up to someone really good, or I could just go Doherty straight to like an LDU or someone and save a trade. One trade left, and that's what I'm going to do. And so, I mean, it's your personal preference, but I think you've got just as much chance. And the other thing is for you, if you do the trades this week, who are you getting? You know, Hall and McCarthy are still performing pretty well. So if you wait 1 week, Shanahan, what's he on? He's got a 28 break even. So say he has a good game and gets like a 70. He's going to go up 20, 30 grand. You might be able to keep Clay Hall. You might be able to keep McCarthy. You might be able to drop down a Clark or like a Johnson for a 99k and then get Shanahan up to and still have really good backup where your opponents might not have that. Yeah, I can't really see without actually seeing your league. I can't see. You have to do the math. And you're on. The guy in fourth has 56 points, but a 106. See, you really got to look into it, and you need to look who's playing who. So if 2 players from your league above you are playing each other, it's hard. It's hard for me to imagine it. The top 5 have 68, seconds on 60, thirds on 60, fourth is 56, and you're on 52. And then you're saying that the guy in fourth is on a 106, so you have a higher percentage than him. So the first thing you want to do is you look at that guy number 4th. Who's he playing? So the first thing I would do is I would go to game day and you look at that guy number 4th. Who is he playing? Because if he's playing some guy that he's going to be an easy beat for him, like if I went to my league and I'm like, oh, he's playing, you know, it's one of these, he's playing the bottom team and he's easily going to beat him, well, then you don't worry because you're never going to make 4th anyway. So, you know, if he's playing the top team or one of the teams in the 2nd, 3rd or 4th position, that makes a difference. He's playing 9th. Is he predicted to win by a lot of points? Is he predicted to win by like 200 points or something? If you look at his team, how much better is his team than Knight's team? If you got a really close league where Knight has a very good team, he's just been a bit unlucky, or Neil Erasmus is probably not going to score if he even plays. TDK, Merritt, Dale, Rao, Anderson, Rankin. But is he? What's the prediction say? Does the prediction, how much points difference is the prediction? And look, the other thing I'd look for is rookies. Don't care about the good players. You want to look for rookies. Is he playing rookies like you're playing the Shenaninan dude on your field? Is Ninth doing anything like that? Does Ninth have like a Torque Miller and a something stuck in his team? You don't worry about the premiums because that's just the fight. You say your premiums are fighting their premiums and anything can happen. You worry about the rookies. Does he have rookies on the field or not? And does the game day prediction predict that he's gonna? Are they on the field like you, or are they on the bench? Because that's your bigger disadvantage, that you've got Shanahan on the field. So if it's probably going to be tricky for you to beat the team above you if with playing Shanahan on the field, if he doesn't also have some type of issue where he has a rookie on the field. Are they on the field though? Doesn't matter if they're, Marek, I mean, that's good. Marek is a good reserve for him. Archie May's not, you don't have to care about. Neil Erasmus might not even play. He might do. The biggest thing is, if they're on the field playing, They're on the field. All three of them are on the field. Well, you've got a good chance of winning them. Or Marek can score anything. Marek can outscore your Shannon. But if he's got Erasmus and Archer May all on the field, he might be really struggling for trades. So here, oh, this is interesting. And ninth has Kako. Oh, so you're talking about the two that are playing each other. This is not the team that you're playing. This is the team. This is the team above you in 4th. And he's playing 9th, and he has all those rookies on the field. Ooh. So you've got... Yeah, they're playing each other. So that's... 4th versus 9th. Yeah. So... It's hard to tell then. It sounds like 9th might have a chance of beating 4th. But... They both sound like they're going to be, yeah. They both sound like they've got, they both sound like they might have 0 trades between them. So if that's the case, I still think in your position, I would wait. I would hold my trades. I would wait a week and I would just roll the dice. Roll it. Maybe you finish there in 4th. If you do, hey, you finished in 4th and you got 2 trades, you're in a great position for the rest of the finals, or in a good position. If you roll the dice and you lose and you finish in 5th or 6th, well, you're still in the finals. You still got those 2 trades. You're not in as good position as what you were before, but you've still got those 2 trades, and you can make your big move to get in the best player you possibly can next week. You'll have more money to get in a better player, and you'll be able to, and then you'll just, send it and see how you go and see how, if you can stay injury free. Yeah, so I think that's your choices, buddy. Personally, if I was you, I would save the trades and I would just do exactly what I'm doing. If I make the top 4, excellent. I'm in a very good position to potentially win the whole thing. I can make 2 trades next week, try and win that. Wait till I make the top 4 before I decide whether I'm going to send it and try and get that week off. If I don't make the top 4, so be it. I still might send it, or I might save the trades, I might save the trades. I'll look at the matchup and see what I feel like my matchup is next week. If it's a knockout situation, you might almost send the trades anyway. But personally, I think I would. 9th has no trades. He has Dry Cadwell. So that's a good sign. Oliver. How you going, Oliver? Yeah, I think it's Oliver. I think, it's up to you, buddy. But I personally, in your shoes, I'm saving those 2 trades and rolling the dice. Oliver, how are you, buddy? Nice to see you, mate. Thanks for chatting. Thanks for dropping on. I know it can be frustrating. Hey, at least you're in the top 8, mate. I thought literally until last week, there was a really good chance I was going to drop out of the top 8 in my own league, and as a content creator, that would have been no. I'm never happy when I don't make the top 8. I think twice in all the years I've been playing, and one year was last year. Or was it? No, there might have been the year before I didn't make the top 8. I think last year I just scraped in. I started off with a terrible start to the season. I had a really good run home. My team got really, really good run. Sorry, King. Don't be sorry. But yeah, I just feel like you'll be in a better position either way, Joshua, if you have those 2 trades. Even if you get in the top 4 and you have the week off, if you get some injuries and you got no trades, well then you're buggered anyway. So, hey Taj, do I trade? What type of problems do you have, Taj? Do you want me to bring up your team on the screen? Yeah, I would have loved not to start Sheasel as well. Might start Sheasel next year at 500k if he's at 480 or something. but I'm not. But not starting anyone at 600k next year unless your name's Bontempelli or Butters or Grundy or Gawn. If your name doesn't start, if your name doesn't sound like one of those guys, and you're not getting started. Not starting any player gets tagged. I mean, even people like Neil though showed that, you know, some weeks, like, I don't know, the tags were really big at the beginning of the year, and then they went off, and now they're kind of off and they're on, and, you know, it's kind of been weird. Windhager hasn't been tagging, and what's his face? Bedford hasn't been tagging, but Swans have been tagging the hell out of people. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I wasn't too unhappy, but the rucks I started this year with TDK, he played well for the beginning of the year. Gawn and TDK were fine. I just didn't trade to Cherry at the right time, was the only thing. But I could still go one good ruck and one average ruck if we've got a decent ruck option next year, a cheaper option. But I don't know if I'll start Grundy at 700k. Maybe that could be a way to go. Taj, do you let me know a little bit more. If you want me to bring your team up, let me know your team name. Let me know a little bit more your situation. Are you trying to win leagues? What position are you in? Are you trying to go for overall score? With one trade, I'd probably say don't trade. But if it was the difference between you finishing in the top 8 of your league and going to drop out of the top 8 of your league, then I might say trade. I'm going to be back in 2 seconds, crew. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways. And on we'll go. Finding life along the way.
Sorry about that, everyone. Sorry about that. Is Supercoach working on Google yet? Nope. Okay. No, I mean, what footy team do I go for? I was saying, what's the name of Will Day is the GOAT? That's the name of your team? That's who I want to get in my team next week if I can afford him. Will Day is the Is that the name of your team, or are you just saying that? That's not your name. Wait, what's your name of your team? I go for the Eagles. We had a big discussion before. I'm trying to give anyone like Harley Reid? Would you like Harley Reid, Taj? What team do you go for? That's the full name? Hoke. You have 2 teams, or that's the full name? Hoke Ball and Taj Rule. doesn't seem, I don't seem to have much chance of, unless I've already got you here. Don't seem to have very much luck. Whitfield will be cheap though next year. I don't think I'll be able to resist it. Taj, just can you just write in the, just write your team name, nothing else, no its or ands or the, just the exact team name of what I need to type in. Okay, cool. Hoke ball 2,700. Still can't see you and you'd be online. I haven't already got you. Sometimes it does this. I don't know why. It seems to struggle sometimes. Bailey, 26,600. No, you say you're 27,000. I've had this trouble before where I've really struggled to find people. I don't know why. Like, I'm obviously typing it in right. You can see what I'm typing in. And usually, because you're online, I assume you're online looking at your team, it'll come up green, but it hasn't. And I haven't got you here from before. It's really weird. Don't know why sometimes we struggle with it. Old man Seano struggles with IT, but I can't see what I'm doing wrong there, mate. You're just not appearing for me. Doesn't matter. So what's your situation then? So do you want, I mean honestly with one trade, I'd say save your trade. Unless you're going to get a 0 on your field, save it. There are going to be injuries. Callum Wards, yep, no worries. We will try it. Hopefully it works better for you, buddy. Oliver. Yeah, so it comes straight up for you. I don't know why it needs to be so difficult for some people. But Taj, my best advice is keep your trade. There's still 5 weeks left. There's going to be carnage. There are going to be people, you're more than likely going to need that trade. Just keep it. Unless you're getting a 0, even if you're running at 22 players, I'd still probably keep the trade. You know, there is going to be carnage. There'll be a suspension. Someone will be injured. You know, it might be the difference between you winning a league match or not winning a league match, or having a 0 on the field and not having a 0. You know, I'd keep it. I know ball. All right, Callan, how are you going here? Rank, bit of a rough season. You have elite ball knowledge. Cool. Yep. Interesting backline. Missing some of the big boys. How many trades you got left, buddy? Bont, Rao, Butters. You got a big midfield, which is nice. It's always nice to have a big midfield. Oh, a bit of disaster. A bit of a disaster in that. You got Sims like I do, where a 40 is a good score. You have no clue, sir. I'm sorry. Hey, mate. You got to learn somehow. Your second account. Tad, you know if you have 2 teams, you can't win the 50k? How would I rank it? I don't like to do that, mate. We're all learning, right? So I won't do that because we're all learning, and you learn by playing. I wasn't brilliant, and I'm still not the expert or brilliant. I might be a content creator, but there's, you know, I've never finished number 1. I've never finished the 50k. I've never finished in the top 100. So, you know, you learn by playing, and you learn by hanging out with people like myself and other content creators who have played for a while and asking advice and looking at their teams. The best advice I can give to someone like you is before the season starts, make sure you're watching. I mean, it'd be nice if you're watching me, of course, but some content creators are getting a good look at their teams, and especially when it comes to what rookies are around, because we're all out there doing all this research, and we're staring at opening the app 50 times a day leading up, the month or two leading up to it, watching all the practice games. We're doing all that research for you. So if you don't have time, or you don't watch that much footy, just watch people like myself or the other guys. Look at especially the rookies. Look at the rookies that we're picking, and looking at the value picks that we're picking, and they're the ones you go for. So you go with the pack on the rookies and the value picks, and where you differentiate is you pick the primos that you like. So at the beginning of the season, most people are going to have similar rookies, and most people are going to pick similar, value options. And then you go and then you plug in the primos that you want, that you can afford. So, and that's how it's the best way to set up your team. You have the best rookies, you have the best value options, and then you're like, well, I want to start Bont and Gorn. And another good way to go is getting your rucks out of the way early is good. Always, starting at least one gun ruck is usually the way to go. And sometimes starting 2 gun rucks are the way to go. And that way you just don't have to think about it. And because they're so expensive, but they can also score so well, it's obviously, a good strategy. You have 2 really good rucks, 1 or 2 really good midfielders, and then value options, and then rookies. And for your other midfielders, you're picking who you can afford, and you don't have to go with the pack. So, and that's where you get your difference from other people, is that, you might pick Liberatore and I might pick Matt Rao, and 1 week he's going to have a good week and 1 week he's going to have a good week, and you don't know who's going to have a really good season. Like Liberatore both of these guys had awesome seasons, but if you had picked Hewitt started off on fire. If you had picked Hewitt at the beginning of the season, that was a really good pick, and it would be different for everybody else. So that's the best advice I can give to you. There's not much you can do about your team now. You've got obviously a lot of injuries. You've got a lot of rookies on the field. That's the best advice I can give. Is just enjoy Supercoach. I mean, it's not the be all and end all. And then if you want to get better, pre-season is where it really counts. You don't have to do the research, but watching a YouTube video or 2 in the weeks coming up to it, that's all you need to do. And most people like me, even though this is my first year showing it, I will show my pretty much completed team a week or so before that last week. I will be showing who I'm going to go in with, which might change a day before too, depending on who comes out in teams and stuff. But if you look across a few different content creators, look at their teams, pick a combination of their teams together. Pick a combination of their teams together. It's not like you copy. I mean, I wouldn't copy one. It's not much fun just to copy someone's complete team, and even then trading is going to make a big difference. But if you combine a few, the rookies are going to be, I guarantee you, the rookies are going to be very similar between myself and the other content creators, and the top players in the team, and the value picks are going to be very similar. Who's going to be different is who you pick as your premiums. And then that's where the fun comes in. You're like, oh, well, maybe you're a West Coast supporter. Actually, let's not choose West Coast. Maybe you're a Port supporter and you like Butters and Rosie again, and you're like, oh, I want to pick them. And, the only other thing you might take a little bit of thinking is you look at the buys and you say, I want to make sure that I don't have too many players from the same team on. So, you don't want, Bont, Lib, Dale and Kennedy all in the same team, because when the buy comes along, it could be a bit problem. You want maybe 2, maximum 3 from each team, and probably 4 or 5 from the buyers rounds on each team. But that's the best way to go. If you want to get a clue, you say you have no clue, but you're still finishing. There's always next year, and if it's a matter of fact is whether you enjoy it or not. And obviously you probably enjoy it a little bit more if you do a little bit better. And the best way to do a little bit better is to do exactly what you're doing, is to come and hang out with people like me who can try and help. And as long as you have a decent starting team, you can usually... Some of the people have won Supercoach haven't had the best starting team. They've traded their way into it. So you only need a decent starting team, and you can get that decent starting team by watching people like myself, other content creators, who are going to give you a good idea of who those values and rookie picks are, and then you're going to be set up to trade your way into the best team you possibly can. That's the best advice I can give Oliver, and enjoy yourself. So yeah, Taj, you said you got a second name. You have I think we've tried this team before. But yeah, if you've got 2 teams and you win the 50k, they're not going to pay you out. You do know that, I hope, if you're going for a 50k. You're just giving me random names that don't make any sense. Because that name doesn't work either. I have a big Cox. Bit harsh. We don't tell people that they have a trash team here, Taj. We're all here having fun and enjoying ourselves, and we're all getting better. Like I said, we all try to improve ourselves, whether it be in Supercoach in life, right? Makes us better humans. And one of the best ways to improve ourselves in life is to ask other people, ask our peers or other people's opinions. Is Harley Reid my favourite player? No, definitely not. 100% no. You can have him. If you want to pay $20 million for 10 years, you can have him. If you want to give me 1 to 2 picks in the top, the top draft, you can have him. And all his free kicks against. As an Eagles supporter, I don't want him. And he's sooking every time he gives away a free kick. And then the opposite team goes down and kicks a goal down the other end. You can keep him. I don't want to keep him. I want to give him away. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's not the superstar that everybody thinks he is. He'll be good, but will he be the superstar that everybody thinks he is? Is he worth 20 million over 10 years? Definitely not. On what we've seen this year, what we saw last year might make you think it is. What we've seen this year, definitely not. Definitely not. So yes, anyone want a Harley Reid? I got a good deal. I can give you a good deal. Anyone else out there want to look at the team, or should we call that is? You're starting Jack Steele next year. Guy gets 15 tackles a game and 20 contested possessions. Jack Steele's been a really good mainstay over the course of Supercoach. He hasn't had the best last couple of seasons, but the only thing with him, he never seems to get a really big streak of hot games. He can go big, but 130 is his biggest ceiling this year, which is not as big as you'd want. I mean, for 530, I think he's a fair option. I think I had him last year, and I think with his run home, I think you should seriously consider him if you've got 530 for the rest of this year and you're looking at a midfielder. He's definitely someone you consider. Maybe with Jack McRae there, it helps him out a little bit, or Wanganeen Malera helps him out, getting not so of the so much action. I think there's a few players that if we go to players, there's a few players, so he'll be reasonably priced next year. So I think these are the midfielders that I'm going to be looking at next year. Just like just like him, I don't think you don't really need to worry about. Like, rucks are easy. You pick your two big rucks. I think the forwards are going to be tricky next year. I think you're going to have to pick cheaper forwards, and it won't be like this year where there's lots of DPP swings. You're going to have to pick cheaper forwards next year and just have a shit forward line. The forward line is going to be a very tricky pick next year. But with midfielders, so I'm not even going to bother talking about it. With midfielders, and defenders. Let's have a look at both of these ones. So, not picking anyone over 600k unless your name is Butters or Bont. So, who's going to be good value next year? Like George Hewitt might be good value. Dunkley, if he's going up though. So I'm looking at around 550. Like Lockie Ash in the back line, if he stays around 550, could be a good pick. Ed Richards at 530, if he stays at. Max Holmes at 550. These are all going to be guys that I'm looking at next year. I won't start Matt Rowell at 620. It'll be too much. Jack Sinclair will be an automatic starter for me if he's anywhere near less than about 530. Jordan Clark, if he stays at this 540-ish, anything less than 550, definitely picking him up. Tom Green, if he drops down below 550. Caleb Sarong at 500, I don't think I'll be able to ignore. I'll definitely pick him up. Dane Zorko, even at 500, we've seen what he can do. This is very cheap for him. Bailey Dale at 470 could definitely be a good pickup. Even Lockie Neal, he might get tagged, but at 520, he's cheap. Cheezel, I'll think about it at 500. Merritt at 550 or less, I'll think about it. There's going to be like Whitfield, if he stays below 500, I'm definitely going to think about it. There'll be a lot of good they're not really mid prices. They're primos that they're at the lower end. If they can keep that lower end of their price, who's to know? Lockie Whitfield might score 120 for the rest of the season, and by the time the season ends, he's worth 600k again, and then you're not paying 600k for him next season. Well, you shouldn't. Well, I'm not going to. So there's going to be a lot of choices, and I'm just going to make sure that that's where I'm going to maximize my value next year. If I could pick Caleb Sarong and he's 500k, and say somebody else, Max Holmes has a couple of bad games, he goes to 500k, or Ed Richards goes down to 500k. If I could pick those two instead of two players that are 560k and save myself 120k, that's what I'm going to be doing next year. I'm going to be looking for players anywhere between about 480 or 450 to 550 that I think are going to be potentially top 8 of their line in the midfield or top 6 in the defence, and could potentially go up in money. They're the ones I'm going to be really targeting. And if I could save 50k, I might go, like this year I preferred Brayshaw over Sarong. But next year, if Sarong and Brayshaw was cheaper, next year maybe Sarong is cheaper and Brayshaw is more expensive. Maybe I go Sarong next year, just purely for money. Play money ball. And Oliver, you were talking about, saying you have no clue. Well, that's another thing with Supercoach. If you really want to win and you really want to do well with Supercoach, you can't play with your heart. We all want to play with our heart. We all want the players that we really want in the team, the Bonts and the Grundys of the world. But really, it's about money management and trading. If your starting team has one extra keeper, like a primo keeper in your team, which you could potentially say, you could keep all season, and you get that one extra keeper by not paying up for the really big guys, like, getting the 500k players instead of the 550k players. If you can scrape one more primo in your team at the beginning of the season, you'll have a better season. You'll have than most people, you will start off better. That one primo, can be the difference between somebody else has a rookie that gets a 60. You have that one primo, he gets you, an average of around 100. Or on a lucky day, even though you paid 500k for him, he comes out and smacks a 130 or a 140. That's the difference between your team and a good team, and a team that's well set up to go and finish in the top 10, 20k, top 1,000, top 100, win the 50k. That's the difference. Like, trading makes a big difference. You want to, with these extra trades you've got now, I think definitely you want to go aggressive early. But at the same time, maximising the number of primos in your team early in the season, players that you believe you're going to keep, and getting an extra one of those in by getting a few more value type primos is the way to go, and that's how I'll be doing it next year. So what about it? You think that's enough for today, crew? I think we've had enough. Really appreciate everyone being here. Taj, Oliver, Joshua, who else we had? We had Matthew, we had Deadly's Real Daddy, which is a bit of a hard to stay. So I really appreciate everybody jumping on and watching. Would really like everyone to give me a subscribe. Trying to get to those 300 subscribers before the end of the season. Like the video. That helps me out a lot too. And if you're watching this video in the future, thanks for watching. I hope you can do all those things that we just mentioned, including leaving the comment down below. And let me know who your vice captain choices are, how many trades you've got left, if you're going to be trading this week. If not, are you going for your leagues, where you placed, are you the top of the league and you're laughing at everybody else? Are you you're like me, you're cemented in but you're in the middle, or could you scrape into 8th position? Let me know how everything's going for you guys. I hope everyone has a really great day. I hope everyone enjoys the footy this weekend. Like I said, I'm having a bit of a barbecue with the mates to watch the Freo West Coast Derby over here, which should be fun, except for the fact that we'll probably get flogged as an Eagles supporter. But at least we'll have fun with the friends. So everyone, have a great day, and I will speak to you all again very soon. See you then.